Hey Novas Nation, your Omaha Supernovas are back and charging towards another pro volleyball title. Because of you, the CHI Health Center is the toughest place to play in all of professional volleyball, averaging nearly 13,000 fans per match. Be there Sunday, February 16th at 3 p.m. as the Supernovas take on the San Diego Mojo. Get your tickets now at the CHI box office or by visiting supernovas.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
WTL.
It's time!
WTL.
I think we got a show. Oh yeah, we got a show.
WTL.
And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
It's kind of a sad occasion because we have over 100 days now until any type of football action.
Yeah, no, it's just really sad, especially going out on that, note. Kind of a disappointing game all around. A lot of parlays didn't hit, especially if you had any Chiefs in them.
Wow.
And it was kind of just a sad Sunday. Not that I was against the Eagles or anything like that. It just really, really, put a damper on all those bets.
It really did. And I already had my mind made up that I was going to be happy for Cam Jurgens and the other couple of Eagles that were former Huskers. I'd be happy for them. And I'm not a big pro Chiefs guy, although you kind of got to like Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But man, did the Eagles just dominate that game. And like you said, just wrecked all sorts of props. Anything you had with Kelsey, anything you had with Mahomes was not going to cash out. Mahomes went 21-32 for 257 with those 2 interceptions and a couple of garbage touchdowns at the end there.
Yeah.
But 40-22. So the over did smack. I think we both were on that. But let's get into a couple misses we had from the Super Bowl right out of the gate. And that was the national anthem went way over. And man,
it did.
Oh, man.
Me and the JO were really, really on that guy for his classical training. Thought he would just get in and get out. Like I said, I didn't really know much about him, but yeah, hearing that national anthem, once he started that first line, I was just like, oh no, I'm in trouble. That guy was letting it all hang out and, finishing those very, very long pauses as well.
Yeah. John Baptiste, I know exactly what you're talking about. He took that pause of about a second and a half, 3 words into it.
Yeah, we're cooked on this. So
yeah, you knew that was going to go over. You did smack though. However, I believe it was the very, very first drive. Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown.
Yeah.
The first push got him across, just like you thought it would.
No, it's what they've been doing. That's their best play. They, ride the horses all the way down there, get Saquon going, get AJ Brown going, and then get within 3 yards. It's Jalen Hurts time. And yeah, that did get me a little bit of money. And I did do a first touchdown bet on Jalen Hurts as well. So that did save the day a little bit for me.
Yeah. You just couldn't get away from throwing a Chief in a parlay here and there.
Yeah, of course.
That's understandable. I did hit, however, and I was kind of sweating it there. Saquon Barkley, we both had under 114 yards rushing on the day. 114 and a half, I think, is what a lot of books closed it at. But you thought he was going to have a run for 25 and a half or more. I didn't. And that was just going off of what the Chiefs defense had done all season long against the big play. They really lean into that bend, don't break mentality. Spags, he's just a master at it. He makes you earn it. Yeah. And it's kind of weird to say, but I thought their defense played pretty well, even though they gave up 40 points. It's just they got no help from the offensive side.
Yeah, it definitely just a crazy game for the Kansas City Chiefs. Defense, I thought, played well, got put in some really hairy situations, even held them to a field goal here and there. But, yeah, it was just I really did think that Saquon was going to have to bust one at some point, but it really didn't come to that point in the game that they needed him to either. So they were just trying to churn clock ever since, halftime. So I knew that one was cooked as well. I'll tell you where I lost a lot of my parlays, Andy, and it really has everybody scratching their head, is Harrison Butker. I had him either over a field goal and a half or over 7 points. And the guy didn't get to kick anything. Not one extra point, not one field goal, not anything. So that was a really head scratcher for me that they couldn't even, just get 3 on the board there in the first half. You know that they probably had in the back of their mind that they were okay. But a couple of those, I really would have liked them to get into field goal range and get some points on the board and, get a little bit of momentum going.
It was just ugly and just kind of an oddball. They end the first quarter 7-0, and you're thinking, okay, the Chiefs can still somehow dig themselves out of this. But then that second quarter just completely dominated by Philadelphia. And then it got to a point where they needed more than field goals. Like they couldn't just settle for field goals.
Yeah.
They were driving across the 50-yard line anyway. It was just
3 and out.
Bizarre. Yeah.
Should have hit the over on punts prop for Kansas City Chiefs, and you would have cashed that pretty hard. But yeah, I mean, it's just not a really good, Super Bowl in my mind, just because I had so much riding on Travis to have a huge game, and he really did. And I think he only had 39 yards. I had a whole bunch of props, even if he could get to 100, if he could get to 2 touchdowns. I just really thought Travis was going to pull out a huge win there. He did break the record all time for catches in the Super Bowl, which is still pretty dang cool to be mentioned within, Gronk and Jerry Rice and all that kind of stuff. But I would assume that they're coming back and they want to try it one more time. So we'll see.
Yeah, and Mahomes said that they're going to run it back. We'll be back is what he said in that very first tweet after the Super Bowl. And you thought it was going to – I did anyway. It was going to be tough sledding after Kelsey dropped that pass. It was low and off to the side, but that's a catch that he usually makes. And that was in the first quarter, and they just couldn't get right after that. I do want to, we're kind of dogging on the Chiefs, but Xavier Worthy, we had a lot of positive things to say about him throughout the week and the couple weeks leading up to it. He did haul in 2 touchdowns, 157 yards.
Yeah.
Albeit some of it was in garbage time and the Eagles just wanted to get out of there, but still the young man performed. And if you did have Worthy, which I did on a couple, those did work out for you.
Yeah, no doubt. X played a really good game. I mean, it's hard to say anybody on the Chiefs played a good game, but and there's no such thing as garbage time in the Super Bowl. I don't think so. He played well. He's going to be. I think he's going to be the focal point of the offense next year. I really do. So he's going to be a high draft pick in fantasy leagues in that wide receiver position.
Well, it's never too early to be looking ahead. Should we get into next year's way too early line to win the Super Bowl?
We have to.
I opened up ESPN Bet right before we got on here. And wouldn't you know it, the Kansas City Chiefs are your overall favorites to win the Super Bowl next year at a plus 650. Now, they are tied with the Baltimore Ravens, who are also at a plus 650. Do you see anything a little off with that?
I don't see anything off with that. I mean, obviously they're kind of shading the Eagles and the Buffalo Bills a little bit, but no, I mean, those top 4 teams I think are interchangeable. The Eagles, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens. I think you could, flip a coin and say whichever one you want. I obviously give the edge to the Kansas City Chiefs because they've been there so many times, and I do believe they're going to, bring a majority of this roster back. Even if they do leave Kelsey, I really think that they got depth there at tight end. You lose a leader, obviously, but you have good players behind them, and you still have the greatest player in this generation with Patrick Mahomes, and that defense with Spags as well. So no, I like that the Chiefs are. I don't like it, but I see why they're favored. The Eagles have to be in that conversation as well, and then Josh Allen's going to be with his hair on fire next season, trying to prove he's just not an MVP candidate.
No, you make a great point. I mean, the Eagles, the Bills, and the Lions are all tied in the 2-hole there at a plus 700. So they're all right there. Then you get into the 49ers at a 14-1 and the Cincinnati Bengals at a 16-1. I just can't believe in the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, that's why they're 16-1. Everyone agrees they can be a great team, but they just seem so inconsistent.
Yeah.
I like the value play there for the Bengals, but I don't think I can put any money on it, even if it's just a $20 flyer in the offseason.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Or something.
I like the value in it, but it's not enough value to take a chance on the Cincinnati Bengals. If they were like down there in the Chargers range or the Texans range, between that plus 2,500 and plus 3,000, that's where you get some really good value for it. That being said, the teams that you're looking at there in the middle of the pack that I kind of do like, maybe sprinkling some of that, is the Houston Texans and the LA Chargers. I think these teams are going to get nothing but better. And you got to kind of look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think, as well. They're going to run the NFC South, I believe, again this year. And, Baker's got them, kind of going in the right direction.
Well, ESPN Bet has your Buccaneers there at 35-1, plus 3,500. Right there with them, Minnesota Vikings plus 3,500. I love that bet. I would like to see the new quarterback or what they're going to sort out there, but they still have an excellent roster. And I feel like no one gave him any respect this year. I don't see him giving any respect this year, next year coming forward either. You do have a huge roadblock, though, within your division, that being Detroit. But like you said, I mean, these are flyers. These are long odds.
Yeah.
I just feel better about taking a bigger odd bet, a better payoff with the Vikings than I would say the Bengals, because I don't have any faith in the Bengals pulling this off.
Yeah, no, it's really tough because, well, you can talk about roadblocks. The Cincinnati Bengals have to run into the Baltimore Ravens twice a year. So they're running into the same thing. Like you said, I mean, I don't like them. I don't dislike the Minnesota Vikings, and that quarterback situation is going to be a tough one to figure out if they just franchise tag Sam Darnold or just get JJ McCarthy in there.
Well, we're about to wrap this segment up, but let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is right on time, the Nebraska Brewing Company, world class in every glass. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL.
WTL.
All he does is work out and hit winners. 10-2, 85% weekend. You're a mutant.
WTL.
And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
Yes, we are. And we're putting away football, college, and obviously the NFL with the Super Bowl. Now it's time to really hone in on NCAA basketball. March is right around the corner, and things are starting to get interesting, especially with a couple of in-state teams here with the Huskers and the Creighton Blue Jays. And I don't know if you noticed this or not, JaBron, but on the last, Joe Lunardi's bracketology, he had all three Division I teams in Nebraska making the tournament, including UNO as that 16th seed.
Yeah, I actually did know that they're having a really good season, Andy, and ranked at the top of the conference, obviously. So that would be so awesome if that could happen, but a couple of these teams are going to have to turn it on here at the end of the season.
No doubt. Well, let's get right into it with Creighton Blue Jays and, a really good game that we just saw a couple of nights ago. The 24th ranked Blue Jays on Dollar Beer Night were hosting their nemesis, kind of their rival in the UConn Huskies. Huskies had never beaten the Blue Jays in Omaha in their entirety, especially since joining the Big East. Well, it couldn't last forever. UConn took care of business, had a really nice run there midway through the second half, and topped the Blue Jays 70-66. What are your initial thoughts, takeaways?
Well, I mean, that was a great thing to have that over UConn and Dan Hurley, and pretty much putting a national champion of two times, kind of in their place when they come to Omaha. That was a really cool thing to hang your hat on if you're a Jays fan. They're just a good team. He's a good coach. They figured out Creighton really came out with their hair on fire in this game and really got out to a good lead, especially in the first half. We were texting with our brother, and he hit that first half bet. And so I believe our brother really had in on that game, knowing that UConn probably was going to come back in that second half, but that Creighton was going to start on fire. But, it was a good game throughout, and Creighton is a dang good team. So no matter what, they're going to be in the game against us. And losing by 4 to UConn when you're trading fouls. And at the end of the game, I don't like the decision that Greg McDermott did to miss those free throws on purpose. But, he's just trying to make something happen. And I don't think he was, too confident with the free throw shooter anyways.
Yeah, and it was kind of an oddball game in that I do feel that Kalkbrenner wasn't himself. They mentioned he might have been a little under the weather. It appeared something was wrong there. And then they weren't hitting shots. And when you don't hit shots, it's tough to win games in the Big East. I also thought that UConn, that their game is just hound you, and pound you. And you can't call a foul every possession. Yeah. And I felt midway through that second half, the refs kind of let them rough up the Jays a little bit, and the Blue Jays just were unable to respond. So once again, give Coach Hurley his due and his credit. Hey, just keep fouling them, and eventually they'll have to let a few of these calls go. So I don't want to be a Creighton apologist, but I felt the style and officiating favored UConn. And let's also give that young man, the freshman McNeely, Liam McNeely, his due. 38 points.
Yeah.
I mean, Creighton just didn't have an answer for him.
Yeah, no, they limit him to, just 30 points. They probably win this game. It's just that young man had it going, and Creighton couldn't stop him, really didn't have an answer for him. And like you said, Kalkbrenner kind of seemed, out of wills, at times. And I think that, really tough play really kind of helped with that. So.
Yeah. So UConn cash, they were a 3.5 point underdog at close. The under hit at 140. And then you also, of course, the UConn money line at a plus 150. So if you're heavy on UConn, which a lot of people on the East Coast were, you had a good night there. Did you want to look ahead, or did you want to shift gears and look at the other team in Nebraska?
Well, let's just do a little Sunday preview, because it does not get any easier for the Creighton Blue Jays, especially in the Big East, going against the top rated team in the Big East, the St. John's Red Storms, kind of on fire right now, Andy. And, just beat UConn, just beat Marquette, just beat Providence, just beat Georgetown, just beat Xavier. This team is rolling right now, 21-4 overall, Andy. This is going to be a tough one for the Jays.
It really is. Rick Pitino has got that program, like you said, just rolling, spinning like a top. They are 12-2 in the conference, 21-4 overall. You got to assume it's going to be a tough night for Creighton, especially if their shooters, Ashworth, aren't making shots, and Kalkbrenner still isn't right. I do think you got to like the emergence of a couple of their guards, and the depth that Creighton's been able to show these past few weeks are leading throughout this season. But they still need their big-time players to step up in big-time moments.
Yeah, they do. And I don't want to make it come across that I don't think Creighton has a chance in this game, because they definitely do, Andy.
Right.
Like our three last opponents are the exact same as St. John's, UConn, Marquette, and Providence. We took care of Marquette at home, 10 points. Providence on the road by 11 points. And St. John's, took Xavier into overtime just a couple 5 games ago, and we beat Xavier by a good 9 points. So everybody in the Big East is kind of lining up. This is kind of the way it is in this conference. I don't give a lot of leeway to anybody in the Big East, from 1 to 6, and they are going to be on alert. They are going to be on alert. Sure. That's why I don't think that Pitino's going to, look over Creighton at all. I think it's going to be a pretty thin line too. I believe it's probably going to be about, 4.5 to 5 points for St. John's. And, if we have a chance at the end of the game, I do believe it can happen. It's just how well do we play, and is Kalkbrenner 100%?
If it gets around 5 or 6, I wouldn't feel too bad about taking Creighton. Anything tighter than that, that feels like St. John's will be able to knock a couple free throws down,
No doubt,
down the stretch to expand it and make that cover.
correct.
All right, well, let's get into a game. Are you going to be there?
I'm going.
7:30 tip-off. The Maryland Terrapins, newly ranked Terrapins, just squeezing in the top 25. Going to the resurgence of the Nebraska Cornhuskers in the vault, winning 4 in a row. Now our Huskers are squarely back in the talk of the tournament. They weren't even going to projected to make the Big Ten tournament.
Right.
Just 4 or 5 games ago, completely flipped the script, going on a 4-game winning streak. But here you go. Now you have a ranked team coming into your place. You are Nebraska is a 1.5 point favorite. JaBron.
Yeah.
Cover.
Yeah, no. It's been insane. The resurgence of Nebraska ball, just because, we lost that 6 in a row, and I just looked at the schedule. Illinois, Oregon, back-to-back ranked teams, and I just thought it was over. I thought it was going to be at least, 9 games in a row that we were going to lose. They shut me up, beat Illinois in overtime, went out to Eugene and won that game.
Wow.
It absolutely insane. Got another, real big piece here, Andy. This can go a long way in their ranking of the NCAA tournament if they can get this win over a top 25 team, especially how well Maryland's playing right now.
Yeah, and don't sneeze at, beating Washington in Washington out
Correct.
there on Seattle. And then also, I don't care beating Ohio State anytime. I don't care if they're up or down or whatever. You're beating Ohio State. That means something to me. And I was in the same camp as you. I thought, okay, they're going to pack it in. Not the case whatsoever. Now there's a little bit of hope, but this is where I feel traditionally over the years, other than maybe a couple flashes here and there, this is where Nebraska has that letdown once again. It's really good. It has that show me feel to it. I want to believe the vault matters. I want to believe the Huskers can cover that 1.5.
The real big thing about this, Andy, is we cannot, as in Nebraska, get into those lulls of scoring. Maryland is one of the best defensive teams in the conference, only allowing opponents to 66 points. And they score at a pretty good clip of 82 points as well. This is a really, really good Maryland team that plays pretty dang good on the road. They did just lose to Ohio State on the road back on the 6th of February. But before that, they went on the road, beat Illinois, smoked them by 21 points, and then went into a really hard environment in Indiana and squeezed out a win as well. So this is a good team on the road. I do believe the Terrapins, break the vault tomorrow.
Does it feel like maybe the safest bet is the under on the total? 147.5 is what ESPN bet has it at right now. You're looking at a Nebraska that if they want to win, they got to continue with defense.
Yeah.
And Maryland might have a better defense than the Huskers. I think that under might be the play.
I think the under might be the play, but if I'm truly, going with myself here, Andy, I am going to go Maryland Terrapin money line. I believe that is the way to bet, and that is the way that I'm going to go into Thursday night.
Plus 110 money line. I hope you're wrong. Well, let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Stock and Rod Company, an outdoor lifestyle brand for those seeking adventure. Whether it's hunting, fishing, hiking, they got you covered. Visit stockandrod.com to get your wild game on. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL.
WTL.
I'm just a big, hairy American winning machine. If you ain't first, you're last.
WTL.
And welcome back, everybody, to WTL, Where's the Line, Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
Yep. And we're just going to stay right on track with NCAA basketball because we got a stellar lineup across all the different conferences. We get into conference play, seeing a lot of great matchups. And let's just go right to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And we got a noon tip-off on CBS. That's the 16th ranked Wisconsin Badgers taking on the number 7 Purdue Boilermakers. Boilermakers, matchup predictor-wise, they got a 69.1% chance to win this game and defend their home court. I don't know, though. JaBron, how do you see this?
Yeah, this is going to be a good game, obviously, two of the best teams in the Big Ten. Pretty much identical records, Andy. The only thing that I could really point out in this, Andy, is that Purdue might be kind of looking a little fiery, losing at Michigan just on the 11th, which was kind of weird for them because they kicked the crap out of them, Andy, at home, beating them 91-64 back in January, and then let them. Michigan's obviously a good team as well, but Purdue sitting there in that 7th ranked spot in the nation really shouldn't have trouble with a team like Michigan going on the road and beating them, and lost to them by 2. So I think they could have a little vengeance coming back home to win this game against Wisconsin.
Yeah, everything kind of points towards Purdue being able to secure that home victory there. It's just going to be interesting. Is that point spread going to get wider than, 6 points, 7 points? It might. And if it does, I like Wisconsin's defense and their ability to keep this one close.
I don't think it's going to get that close, Andy, just with Purdue coming off a loss and Wisconsin winning 3 in a row, Northwestern Indiana and Iowa. Their last loss was to a now ranked Maryland Terrapin team that they played, rather close at Maryland. So they have the blueprint to come in here and, knock off a top team. I mean, they're ranked 16th in the nation. They're a good team, obviously. Only 5 losses on the year. I bet this point spread doesn't get further than 4, Andy. I bet it starts at 3.5, maybe gets to 4 by tip-off. I really think that Purdue might put a wallop on them. So I like Purdue just coming back off that loss, coming back to home, and really grinding them out.
All right. Well, should we shift gears and get on over to the Big 12?
Let's do it.
An ESPN 1:00 tip-off, that being the 6th-ranked Houston Cougars heading on out to Arizona to take on the 13th-ranked Wildcats. This game kind of has a toss-up feel to it, even though you got a top 6 team in the Houston Cougars. Their offense, once again, is putting on a show, averaging 75, 76 points per game. But Arizona's offense is actually more prolific, averaging 82 points per game.
Yeah.
Who's going to shine? You got the home court advantage with Arizona.
You do got the home court advantage, Andy. The only thing I'm seeing is, you were talking about the Houston offense, and that was a huge thing last year. Yeah. They really buckled down on defense, Andy. They are only allowing 57 points a game this year in the Big 12. I think that's pretty, solid number. That's the reason that their overall record is 20. They already have 20 wins to 4 losses. Arizona, I think it's going to be a little bit like I just said about the Purdue Boilermakers. Arizona just lost on the road to a Kansas State Wildcat team that, is kind of mid-pack in the Big 12. Other than that, they kind of been rolling, beat Iowa State in overtime, which is a huge win, obviously, as high as Iowa State was ranked back when that happened. I do like Arizona at home. I just think it's going to be a lot tougher place to play than Houston is used to, especially in this kind of run that they've done. I believe Arizona gets a little juice here, and we might be looking at a home dog here. And if we get a home dog, if I'm getting any plus points for Arizona, I'm going to ride with them.
The dogs are barking for you. Well, and they do have a common opponent that they both played within the month here, and that being Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Arizona was able to knock off the Red Raiders 82-73 at home.
Yeah.
But the Houston actually lost in overtime, so it was a real close game, but it was also in Houston.
Yeah.
So you got that little bit of a common opponent type of a feel to it too, which once again lends itself to taking the Wildcats at home here, even though, let's see here, ESPN matchup predictor, the analytics department, has Arizona losing this game with only a 42% chance to actually defend home court and win.
Yeah, I see where they're coming from, Andy. I think in this particular matchup, I'm going offense over defense. I believe Arizona has a more prolific offense, and is going to be able to combat that defensive pressure from Houston. So I like the home team in this, especially if they're a dog, which I believe they will be.
Yep, and you like to take those home dogs if you can get them.
Of course.
All right, let's move on over to the SEC conference that's getting a lot of buzz as of late.
Yeah.
Well-deserved, but I don't know if we're going to see a better matchup than this all weekend long. The number 1 ranked Auburn Tigers are heading over to Tuscaloosa to take on the second-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. So you got 1 versus 2. You got Auburn, Alabama. Everything's on the line here. This game couldn't be closer to a toss-up in my mind. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a -1 or if they just straight up give you a -110 odds for both teams.
I do believe it's going to happen like that, Andy. These two teams are pretty much identical. Like you said, record, strength of schedule, all that kind of stuff. I mean, everybody's given Auburn a little bit of the juice just because they're number 1 right now. I mean, I could see Alabama being flipped to number 1, especially if they win this game, but I could see them being number 1 right now. Obviously, Auburn just lost to Florida last week at home, but I mean, Florida, I think they're ranked number 3 or 4 in the nation as well. So it's really tough for these SEC schools, especially when they got 5 or 6 people in the top 10. For this game, Andy, it's a little bit like we just talked about, offense versus defense. Auburn, obviously one of the best defenses in the country, only allowing 67 points. But Alabama, we saw it all last year. You're seeing it this year. They score at a higher clip than anybody in the nation. They are averaging 90 points a game this year, Andy. Yeah. I really like this Alabama team. I think that they can handle this team at home. So if I'm getting points or just a straight across money line bet for Alabama, I am doing it. I think roll tide roll in this game. I think they get that number 1 ranking after this week.
Yeah, Sears picked up right where he left off last year for the Crimson Tide, averaging 18 points per game. They just put the century mark on Texas a couple of days ago, 103 to 80 over the Longhorns. I don't feel too bad about that. And then you just mentioned how deep this conference is. Florida only has 3 conference losses, but they have 21 wins, tied with Alabama for overall record at 21-3. And Alabama's tied with Auburn for the conference lead, both sitting at 10-1. Yeah. So you might be looking at 2 1 seeds right here when March Madness rolls around. Yeah, and you're not going to get
maybe
much.
3.
You're not going to get much play one way or the other.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely insane, Andy. And if you had a chance to go to this game is going to be insane at Coleman Coliseum. I'm looking at ticket prices now, Andy. The cheapest ticket to get in is $289. That is absolutely insane for a February college basketball, early February college basketball game. But this is the Iron Bowl of the basketball season, so this is pretty awesome. This is definitely going to be one to tune into. And, can't wait for Saturday. These are some really good matchups in culminating with this 1-2 matchup in the SEC.
Yeah, well, Rick Barnes has got things going down there in Auburn. Alabama's cooking along just as well. So I don't think we can really get into much because we don't have very many lines out right now other than it's going to be a tight point spread. And I'll buy into that. I like the home. I like the home team here holding home court, even though Auburn kind of has the edge on paper.
Yeah, they do. And Johnny Brome is the reason for that, Andy. This guy is a facet of everything, averaging 18 points, over 10 rebounds, and he's their leader in assists with just over 3 as well. So watch out for that guy. But I really like the way Mark Sears is shooting the basketball right now. And I believe at home he's going to get this crowd going, and this is going to be a lot of fun. So can't wait to watch this. If Alabama is some sort of an underdog in this game, I believe there is money to be won there.
Yeah, a couple of stars going to be on the court for sure Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, 3:00 tip-off on ESPN. Yeah. And Sears also can distribute the ball for Alabama, leads the team in assists at 5 per game.
Yes.
Well, let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is Underdog Fantasy and the Fantasy Underdog app. Just pick your favorite player, higher or lower on their key stats, get it right, and you could win up to 1,000 times your entry. Download the Underdog app today. New customers could get up to $1,000 in bonus credits instantly. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL.
Capitalism is the only way, Leslie. It moves our country forward. It's what makes America great, and England okay, and France terrible.
WTL.
And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. You know what that stands for. Where's the line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder. JaBron, how are we feeling?
I'm feeling really good because we're about to talk some NBA, just takes and all that kind of stuff. Bets, NBA All-Star game coming up, and my man LeBron James is in the middle of everything, so it's pretty good.
There's no Super Bowl hangover here. We're not going to allow for it. There's so many other things going on, so we can't fall into that pit, that void that there is no football.
I'm an all-around sports fan, no matter what's going on, baseball, basketball, football, so it doesn't stop over here.
All righty, well, let's get into some NBA talk, and we got to start with the big news. It's been a few days, but it's still the buzz, that being the Lakers maybe pulling off the greatest trade in NBA history. I was looking at the biggest lopsided trades in NBA history, and the Lakers are the team that always come up. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a big one. They basically traded nobody to the Bucks to get him. Anthony Davis isn't nobody, but wouldn't you know it, he's already riding the pine with an injury over there in Dallas. Does this trade make any sense unless you're the Lakers?
Yeah, I really don't, Andy. I thought it was fake. The first entire day, I thought it was fake. How could they let their franchise player, top 3 player in the league, Andy, and generational talent? This would have been this literally would have been trading LeBron, after his first MVP for Cleveland. They would, get out of here. We don't need you, trading him to the Lakers for pennies. It really doesn't make any sense. They tried, a couple rumors that he was out of shape, he wasn't all in, all that kind of stuff. How could you be more all in? They just made the NBA Finals. Him and Kyrie were making it work. Two of the best players in the league, 2 All-Stars. Insane that they pulled the trigger on this and kind of gave LeBron a pathway to his 5th championship.
Yeah, it really opened the door for the Lakers, and boy, did they catch a lot of play, and we'll get to that in a moment here with NBA futures. One of the conspiracy theories, and I want to bounce it off you here, that I heard had to do with Dallas ownership wants to move the team from Dallas to Las Vegas. So they're pulling a complete major league, the old baseball movie with the Cleveland Indians, where they want to tank so Dallas won't meet their requirements. Then that will allow them to move the team to Las Vegas. Does that make any sense?
I don't know, Andy. That's not a way that you want to go about it. I don't think. Maybe trade everybody but Luka Doncic would be the way that I would start it. If you're going to try and get a new new city or whatever, I think you want to take your best player with you. All this is going to get in the mind of Kyrie Irving that he wants to trade, and that Anthony Davis isn't going to be happy. He's going to want to trade. This is going to be a team of scrubs here for the next 10 years, and maybe they get their wish of moving, but more than likely Dallas isn't leaving Dallas.
Yeah, it doesn't look that way. And also a lot of players like to play in Dallas, Texas, because Texas doesn't have the income tax. So it's a destination for all major league players or, pro athletes, whether it's Major League Baseball, NBA basketball. You already have that built-in attraction to get these type of players to your franchise. And now the Lakers are just humming along. 6 of the last 7 games they have won. And like you said, just kind of breathe some life into that franchise who looked like they were packing it in. Like, what are we going to do now?
Yeah, they weren't having a bad season by all, but it kind of seemed like it was kind of stale there with, LeBron and AD. We kind of seen what that does, struck magic in the bubble. But this really opens up a new pathway for LeBron and Luka, obviously, to kind of, see how LeBron does it with that longevity and stuff. I really think this could kickstart, Luka's, next evolution into the NBA. So, Yeah, look for LeBron to hand off the keys here in the next year or so, but this is pretty fun.
Well, all right, JaBron. So that does bump the Lakers up to the number 6 best odds overall to take down that NBA championship. Celtics basically going from wire to wire up to this point. They are still your favorites. I'm seeing a plus 220, plus 225 across many boards out there. You also got the Thunder right on their heels at a plus 230, plus 235. So, I'm even seeing a few plus 225s. I don't think you can argue with the Celtics being on top here.
No, I if anybody's talking about championship this year, I mean, the Boston Celtics have to be the first thing out of anybody's mouth. They just got a huge, two great, really perennial all-stars, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and then they're just deep, Andy. They really are, shooters, defensive players, all that kind of stuff, and people that can take over. So they're a really good team, and they got to be the favorite. They got to be the favorite. But if you're looking down the list and you want some value plays, I think you got to definitely look at the Denver Nuggets with the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
And then another one for me, Andy, is the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis sitting at a plus 3,000. I just think it's nuts that they're so far down there, but obviously not having the first half like they want.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great value play. You do like the Nuggets there sitting in that 5-hole,
of course,
plus 1,400 on many books there. And we've seen it before with the Nuggets, when they won their championship, they were the underdog, in the finals and everywhere else. And I also like their pedigree. They've been there before. They've shown you that you can do it. A team that I have questions about because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen them do it. In my lifetime, the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
They're sitting there as a number 4 overall favorite at a plus 1,100. Who would take that type of a bet on the New York Knicks?
Well, a lot of New Yorkers, I'll tell you that. But no, they're just a really fun team to watch here, Andy, with Karl Anthony Towns. He just really brought a different energy to him. I mean, he'll go out there and score 40 points a game for him, pull down 20 rebounds, and pairing that with the emergence of Jalen Brunson has just been magic for the New York Knicks. So I get why they're, happy and, really putting themselves behind these New York Knicks. But I don't believe for 1 second that they could beat the Boston Celtics or even the Denver Nuggets in a 7-game series when it came down to it. And that's the same way that I feel about the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I know that they're winning a lot of games right now. They just feel like posers to me. It's just kind of the way I feel.
You make a great point there, talking about the Knicks. Just to make the finals, they would have to go through 2 teams that are right now above them odds-wise, that being the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Celtics. Talk about the Nuggets. There's only one team from the West that still has better odds than them, that being the Thunder. And I am seeing on Bet365, a couple of these other books, maybe an offshore type of deal where they have slightly better odds than the Celtics. I'm still leaning towards the Celtics there. And you also know Boston has a guy on their roster right now that actually shops at Roe Buick. So
it's awesome.
Baylor Shireman rocking some Roe Buick commercials there on News Channel Nebraska. You got to love that.
You got to love it. Shout out Baylor. I'm glad he made the team, and he's been doing a really good job. Trey Alexander for Creighton, also on the Denver Nuggets squad. So it's fun to see the Jays on a couple of really good teams. But, like you said, Andy, with those Oklahoma City Thunder being the betting odds in the West, I just believe that really the value there for the Denver Nuggets or even the Los Angeles Lakers, I believe, can beat these guys in 7-game series. So that's the way I would go on the West, is either the Nuggets or the Lakers. Obviously, I'm going to go with LeBron and Luka, but I just don't see anybody in the East, catching Boston.
And, I wouldn't even call you a homer or give you too bad of a time if you want to take a flyer on the Lakers, because we've seen what just 2 superstars can do on a team.
Yeah.
They obviously have that now with Luka and LeBron, and you got to like the way that Austin Reeves has been playing as of late. So there's some promising things. You see why so much money has recently been poured in to Lakers, bringing them up the rankings as far as the NBA futures are concerned.
No doubt
Should
about
we
it.
dabble in the here and now, or right around the corner, the NBA All-Star Game, some early betting lines we found?
Yeah, 3-point contest, I believe, is what we need to do, Andy, for the All-Star Game. Got some really awesome players in this. Obviously, the first one you got to talk about is Jalen Brunson for those New York Knicks, like you were just talking. Can cash it with the best of them. Buddy Hield, Tyler Hero from the Miami Heat, Cameron Johnson, Darius Garland with that huge, lead in the East with the Cleveland Cavaliers been pouring in a lot. But the guy that I'm rolling with has won this already, and it's going to be Damian Lillard, Dame time. He is going to win it again. He just when he gets into things like this, there's just no stopping him. I believe that Damian Lillard will win the 3-point contest. He is the favorite, but it's still at plus 400. I believe that's pretty good value.
Yeah, and if it's not Lillard, then I take some kind of a long shot like Tyler Hero, but I like Lillard as well. And I think something that helps him, he's uber competitive, obviously, when he gets these type of contests. We've seen it before, but it feels like people have kind of forgotten about the Bucks. And I think that kind of puts that chip kind of back on his shoulder, and he wants to remind people like, hey, we haven't gone anywhere. We just won that championship a couple of seasons ago. And we need to get back to that type of a pedigree. And this is kind of a mid-season statement that he could make here for his Bucks.
No, I agree, Andy, wholeheartedly with everything he said. I feel like he feels kind of, underutilized or undervalued since he's got to Milwaukee. And it just really, with how good of a talent he is, that's insane. So I really like him. But if I'm going to take a flyer, I'm going plus 700 with the New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson. So those are my two picks that I would probably throw a little bit of money on because I believe it's a two-man game. What
did the former Sooner have? What do you got for Buddy Hield right now coming out of Golden State?
Plus 600.
Plus 600. Some of those shots that he made in college and now obviously in the pros.
He's
has unlimited range. It's just unbelievable what all these guys can do. And, it is an exhibition type of a game.
Yeah.
So anything can happen. It just feels like over the years, the Uber superstars, the guys that have, the endorphins with Powerade, Gatorade, Nike, they're the ones that kind of prevail, and that is game time. That's
game time. Lillard. Yep, it is. I like Damian Lillard plus 400 for sure.
You don't have any other lines for the All-Star Weekend yet, do you?
I mean, we haven't really seen it. They did. I think they just did the draft, the TNT crew drafting the teams or whatever. So it's kind of a new format for everybody that nobody really understands until we're going to get there. So if I had to back a team, obviously I'm going Shaq. That's one of my favorite of all time. And he picked LeBron first pick. So that's the way you got to do
it. The old guy picks the older guy. Number one overall. Brilliant.
Yep. That's the way to do it.
I'll go the opposite way then. Who's the other coach that drafted?
Well, Kenny Anderson, Chuck, and Ernie. Yeah, they all got a team. So,
so already you're confusing me. You got 4 coaches.
It's a tournament layout now that they have to play more than one game. It's insane. Yikes. I think they're just trying to get more people to watch it. It's because it turns into a no defense, you just shoot shots kind of thing. So. Kind of making it a little bit more of a competitive thing. Who knows if it'll work or not?
Well, we'll tune in and check it out. That's for sure.
Of course.
I can't wait to see some of the betting lines on these, kind of never seen before, tough to predict type of scenarios. Maybe we'll be able to find an edge.
You might be able to find an edge, but the first night of NBA All-Star Weekend is the best with the dunk contest and 3-point contest. That is, pretty much the home run derby of, how it is, just the best thing of the weekend. So that's what I always tune in for. The game, they could make it better, but we'll see if this helps or not.
Yeah, we'll tune in. We'll check it out for sure. So, well, that'll about do it for us this week. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe, maybe even a follow on YouTube if you haven't already. And then, of course, over on ESPN Tri-City and their Facebook page. JaBron, you're holding down TikTok while it's still available, right?
Yeah, of course. We got at WTL Sports Betting on TikTok, looking for parlays, player props, all that good stuff during the weekend.
And there's all sorts of NCAA games. We went over just a small fraction of what's to come. So be sure to tune in and check that out as well. For JaBron, the Parlay Pounder, I'm Andy Classen. Thank you for listening. This has been WTL.